all three have been won from the blue side because it affords you things like banning the Renekton, banning the Kennen, things that you would normally be allowed to ban on the side of the red.
So no Renekton first pick this game, but Zeri going to be left open and immediately locked up by Light. I actually like this, especially. I think Zeri just incredibly strong at the moment and kind of means that you have to change up the game plan a lot of the times in your draft to respond entirely to a Zeri, and something that has that much power is going to be absolutely incredible. Lucian with the Wukong, though, looks like we'll be getting Lucian Nami on this bottom side and see if you can bully out the Zeri in these early stages.
Yeah, you could go with the Lulu on the side of LNG. The Yuumi is obviously the natural point because it just works so well at keeping you both safe and getting you both in and out of fights, but not to be picked up just yet. LNG now looking towards their jungle pick. The Trundle was fine in the early game, but it didn't really have that same level of impact that, you know, the Wukong just has in those team fights. Getting in with that, you know, decoy into the Cyclone is just so much more powerful than anything a Trundle can really do. And LNG, they're going to lock in their bot lane. They say, look, we're going to get ourselves the Zeri and the Yuumi, and now we're going to look towards, I imagine it has to be something like the jungle right now. Or actually, technically, you could leave the jungle open because Tarzan has a champion Ocean. Go for some of the solo lines because you kind of have to pick the Nami here.
Yeah, I still just like taking the Trundle. I think Tarzan's Trundle is so incredibly strong. We saw it, like, how prevalent it could be. And even though they lost the last game, Tarzan was still very much making a name for himself in the bot side, making sure that he's able to find these early ganks. So I think the Trundle will just work well here, especially if you can try and get down towards this bot lane where On going to be very vulnerable on things like this now.
Well, bot side and jungle is going to be locked in here now for both these teams. We will see Lucian Nami coming back into fruition. Was something that LNG played twice in this series so far. They picked it up in the first 2 games. Now Weibo going to try and take up that matchup themselves. And for Weibo, it's about what you want to try to put TheShy on. You will have counter pick technically, but again, I'm going to say it right now. I don't want to see him on Ornn. I don't want to see him try and go for those solo kills or anything like that. I think that the best matchup we've seen has been when either Ala or TheShy has been on carries.
Yeah, and I think that's where I want to see this matchup go towards again. Now, I think for Ala, he is more willing and from a team perspective is more able to go towards things like those tanks like the Scion, where you don't have to rely on Ala to be a big damage dealer, because Light has been phenomenal in that regard. Doinb has been stepping up as well, so I think you got more flexibility here with LNG, whereas for Weibo, because we're not seeing Huanfeng really step up to the mark over the course of the split, they have been heavily reliant on TheShy being on some sort of carry. But should have counter pick coming through here. I mean, the Ahri still open, which I imagine will be banned here by LNG, but still got a lot of options here for Angel in that mid lane.
Yeah, maybe the Sylas as well. Perhaps the Azir. Azir has been perma-banned by the side of LNG. They actually left it open this time around on the rotations. We'll see what they want to go for here. The Ahri gets banned away there from Angel. Not going to let him have that champion once again. And now we'll see what they want to kind of go for. Because again, I feel like Weibo are kind of happy with the way the pick bans have gone this time around, because they should get either the Azir or the Sylas. And honestly, I think if they're hoping for anything, they're hoping for the Sylas.
Yeah, I think the Sylas will probably be banned away, but it does leave open things like the Akali, though Doinb has been playing a lot. Angel, we already kind of said, look, he's had great performances on Akali in the past, even if it's not his highest win rate champion over the course of his career. Like, I think you still have a lot of threats here on Weibo you can go for on this next rotation for Angel.
Yeah, Camille going to be banned away there from Ala. Haven't seen it at all this series, but definitely a pick that Ala can take over a side lane with, even to something like a Gwen. So Weibo just want to try and get something for TheShy as quick as they possibly can.
So I think the downside here is either Azir or Sylas will be left open, which is going to be great for Angel, right? He's been a big fan of the Azir. We've seen it banned every single game, and it looks like this could be the one where they let that Azir sneak through and Angel gets that for himself.
Technically speaking, it is a flex. We have been,
seen
TheShy play the Azir so far this split. I believe he played it once, but also he's also been spamming it right now in solo queue. You were looking at the solo queue records earlier today, but maybe not to be the one right now. It is going to be the Gwen locked in here for TheShy. So again, another good carry coming out here for the side of Weibo. But if it's hard focused like we saw in game 1, this thing does become a little bit of a liability.
Yeah, and especially when Ala will have the counter pick here. With the Fiora, Jax, Camille all gone, he looks like he will just default back to the Gnar, but honestly, I think that works out pretty well with LNG have here. You've got good engage that can come through from the Yuumi. She can attach very well to Gnar, set up for a lot of these big Gnar ultimates, and as well, Doinb. I'm curious to see what he goes for here. Could always go towards something like a Lysandra if he really wants to. Corki has kind of been his game plan. You're looking at a lot of late game scaling on Weibo, so maybe you want to try and match, but it looks like he's happy to just go back towards this Akali. I'm curious now, will we get this Azir for Angel or not?
Yeah, we'll see if the Azir comes out here. I will say the Azir fairly decent, obviously, into the Akali. The Akali not really got much kill pressure onto him until post-level 6, and even then his Azir soldiers and his general range should be able to keep him safe. And it would fit very nicely into what Weibo want to go for, but maybe they throw all that out and go for something a little bit different. But yeah, I think the Azir, how much priority's been on it, it has to be the pick coming out here.
Yeah, it just works so well in the team fight that Weibo have. The ability to try and keep Huanfeng safe, reset fights for people like Ala and Doinb. You want to try and get in onto this backline. I think it just works out too well. So two big ultimates now that you have to contend with on LNG, with the Emperor's Divide, the tidal wave coming through from Nami as well, is going to cause major issues for LNG. But I mean, if they are able to close the gap on towards Weibo between the Zeri, the Akali, this Gnar as well, there is a lot of wiggle room that they can have in these fights.
Absolutely, and again, we saw Gwen for TheShy in game number 1. He got bullied. He got downright beat down, and it's going to be on Ala and Tarzan to try and make that one happen again. I will say with the Akali into the Azir, you're going to struggle for the first few levels at least to try and open up that mid lane, maybe until we get to the mid game, where that Akali can really start to open up and move to the side lanes. But for the moment, it feels like both teams very happy with what they've got, and honestly, I like what Weibo have brought to the table. They've got good engage, they've got good scaling as well, and honestly, the bot lane pressure with the Lucian Nami should give them good bot lane control as well.
Yeah, I think the best thing here for LNG is trying to again play through this top side. Like, if you can get Ala ahead, this Gnar can massively take over games. You just want to let Light and Lumao try and scale into this and see if you can try and help out Doinb to a certain extent. Whereas for Weibo, I feel like we're probably going to see a step back here once more, where they are trying to play 4 lanes, let this Gwen scale, Azir scale, and will be on SofM to try and lighten the load for his laners with the pressure that LNG are putting down.
Well, it's still do or die right now for Weibo. They are 2-1 down in this best of 5. LNG on match point, but the pressure starts to mount when you lose a couple of games. The pressure starts to get a bit more serious, if we will, a bit more kind of hard to deal with once you start to drop one or two games in this series. And for Weibo, that just builds the momentum. The reason why reverse sweeps are so sought after is because not only does it help you completely demoralize your opponent, but it builds you up so effectively well. So we're going to jump onto the Rift. Weibo going to be a little bit more aggressive here onto their pathing, trying to make sure there's no aggressive wards coming out from LNG, and they pin them back into their jungle.
So Tarzan starting off with the press the attack, not the lethal tempo. Wants to try and make sure that he can have some good smacks here if you can find SofM on his jungle clear, but we'll have to see if that is going to be the case. A little burst damage as well for when he can try and get in onto these ganks. So we'll be keeping our eyes on Tarzan to see what he can find and if SofM can try and help out in making sure that he stays safe.
Yeah, they're going to clear away this ward for the moment, just kind of putting Ala in experience range. Fun fact I learned is that the experience range is huge for a ward. It's actually really, really large. So the Ala goes down, picks that one up, so he should be able to get level 2 a little bit earlier, and that's going to be very nice there for the LNG top side. So both junglers going to be starting on their red sides of the jungle, going to be starting solo. So again, want to see now what Weibo do to try and maybe mitigate a potential Trundle coming in this bot side, and so far it's just the ward in the river.
I mean, both junglers starting on opposite sides of the map, though, so we will have a bit of a split opportunity here if Tarzan wants to try and make some sort of early play. We've seen him consistently go for these level 2, level 3 ganks, and even on the last game, he went for the level 2, which was then responded well by SofM, but maybe we'll see him go for this level 3, especially if TheShy is playing this aggressively in topside, only has the Ghost available. Maybe there's an opportunity for Tarzan to make something happen here.
Yeah, it's the little nerfs that came in for Gnar a couple of patches ago definitely start to feel a bit more. If you're not sure, they basically reduced his tankiness, shall we say, or his survivability in his mini Gnar form. So you can get much more aggressive trades like this, but like I said, once he gets into Mega, he gets that extra little bit of steroid of health, he gets himself more resistances and can just kind of clear the wave a little bit better. So TheShy, very aware of this, going to pop down a ward, make sure he's not getting caught out by any, as you mentioned, level 2, level 3 ganks.
Yeah, there is a ward at the Raptors of Weibo as well, so making sure there is no way for Trundle to try and sneak in without being spotted onto that top side of the map, but looks like Trundle is actually going to try and sneak past that ward. I don't think there's enough space now. He will be spotted there, and we'll have to see if Angel responds accordingly.
Yeah, Angel's just going to have to try and run away with this one here. Should be fine. Oh, the Shuriken flip does land, and that's going to be a nice little bit of damage now traded back for Doinb. And as much as Angel knew this was coming, he's still taking a fair chunk of damage. SofM is now here. Doinb thought about maybe going for this one here, and he's still feeling very confident because the bot lane is in the ascendancy for LNG, so they're the ones that feel like they can go for this aggressive move, and that means blue buff is basically forfeit.
Yeah, if LNG can stick around. I will say for Doinb, though, it looks like the wave is pushing in towards him. So we'll lose out.
Pillar of Ice comes down. That just slows everyone out. You can see how labored everyone is, and this is all of a sudden a bit of a skirmish. 4v4 on this bot side. The blue buff going to be the 5th man trying to do damage. Light takes a huge chunk there over the wall. Just gets bursted out by the Azir and Lucian combination. And that means that he needs to back himself away. Shuriken Flip was cheeky, but let's be real, it was never really going to land.
Yeah, I think Doinb, though, did lose a good amount of CS in this mid lane. Because look at where the wave is at the moment. Pushed in just underneath this tower. I have to double check actually exactly how that... I'm not sure if it bounced. No, actually, okay. No, it didn't lose out as much as I thought it was. I thought it had bounced off that bot lane turret, but actually hadn't. So, yeah, Doinb going to be relatively okay as Angel TPs back in and gets met with a little bit of damage.
Yeah, absolutely does. Of course, Gwen back picked up boots and a refillable potion, so a refillable pot, but again, nothing too untoward there. A lot of posturing around that dragon, but you can tell just how close and how tight it is between these two teams, because the fact that they didn't want to go for this, because one small mistake could mean the end of your series. Lumao flashes in, he gets himself back into the Zeri. Now On has nowhere to go. He's going to be slowed down by the prowling projectile, but weaving himself between the minions keeps him safe, and oh, it's getting very tense.
It's getting very tense, and Tarzan is here. Wave is going to be pushing out, and they're going for it.
They land the W. You can see Huanfeng with very little mana to get in the flash forward. One more auto attack is not enough. The Aqua Prison was absolutely perfect because Dagda had to be.
And where's the response? Look at SofM. He's moving up topside. Ala low and overextended. This is so dangerous.
It's so dangerous. He will have a hop and a flash. He might be able to get himself away. The little bit of a slow. The flash forward. One more auto attack, but no, SofM. He can't get it. The range of the Minimar means that Gnar gets a kill. And oh, Weibo, it could have been fantastic, but it's a disaster.
The speed up on the Hyper keeps Ala safe. You can't get the range on SofM. Didn't have the extended range on the Q, just up off a cooldown to try and finish off Ala, so he will fall. So all is said and done, it only ends up hindering TheShy in that top side. We'll just catch it here on the replay. It's a nice call from SofM, right? Like, he goes up, he uses the auto attack here to get the jump. He then uses the range from the W to close the gap, holding on to this E, but just about getting that Hyper off means that Ala's able to stay alive.
I think he cancelled an auto attack as well, I'm pretty sure, right in the last minute there. Maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but again, this is those are the margins you're looking at. Those are the smallest little things you're looking at to be the difference makers here. And that means that Ala gets himself a kill in that top side. Not only that, but he burnt off the Ghost and the Flash here from TheShy and SofM respectfully. And now Ala, he's feeling confident because he's got level 6. He can get the ult off, and then TheShy hasn't really got many places to go. The chunk crunch down means that TheShy takes a hell of a lot of damage. SofM just needs to be here on the backside. He needs to know where everyone is because he needs to make sure TheShy doesn't fall behind.
Yeah, Tarzan moving up here just to spot out where SofM is, and especially with TheShy kind of close to hitting that level 6, they weren't sure if there's going to be some kind of turnaround play, but now both junglers going to meet again in this mid lane. SofM's just matching Tarzan so well here.
He really, really is. Angel, though, going to be hit by the Pillar of Ice. SofM kind of saying, look, I know this is going to happen, going to cover you right now, and they trade back much more effectively.
Yeah, I think they were hoping that Angel could hit 6 quick enough that maybe they could bump Tarzan back towards the turret. No flash, they could make a play, but with the amount of minions that were lost on that early level 3 play, the invade onto blue side, you don't hit level 6 as quickly as you should here for both mid laners, so they don't actually have access to those ultimates. So at the moment, both junglers trying to match tip for tat, and again, this is where Weibo are trying to shine. Late game with the Azir, the Wukong, the Gwen, they should be in a good spot.
And Doinb taking a hell of a lot of punishment right now. It's going to force Tarzan to kind of sit in this mid lane. This is what we were talking about as well, but between the Akali and the Azir is just going to be able to bully you. You're not really going to have the same kind of freedom that you had in games 1 and 2 here as Doinb. It's going to take a little bit more creativity to make that one work. And speaking of creativity, going to look at bot lane and see what they can do here. You're going to have level 6s coming in, about half a wave or so here for Huanfeng and On. So lots to be doing here, and those big level 6 power spikes from across the board on both sides. We're going to see more action before the night's done.
I mean, I hope so. If this game ends at 1-0 and like LNG just
that'd be impressive. I'd
Yeah.
be impressed that no one else dies and we still get an end game. I don't even know who would win in that
I'm not
regards.
going to lie. I cast FPX and JDG, which was a 33-minute first blood. I would not like to repeat that, but we'll have to see exactly.
Poor Chronicler. That's his life every week. You know,
Yeah.
it's LCK.
I mean, they took the record from us. I can't remember
They
what
did. I think it was like 38 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
it's
It was
insane.
insane.
And then it ended.
Yeah, and then it was the game over because it was like first blood, team fight done. But But yeah, now we can see a little bit of cheekiness coming out here from Tarzan. He's snuck himself here into this middle brush, but it's all about whether or not Weibo feel comfortable moving forward.
Yeah, I think in this point, it's a case of, hey, look, we've got this big slow push. Let's use this to our advantage. Let's start to bit by bit, crash this wave, we can reset, move towards Rift Herald. And that's where you're seeing Doinb going, okay, I've got push mid. If I can get a kill onto TheShy, well then maybe I can actually set up for something here so we don't have that problem for bot lane.
Here we go, the transform will come in, but TheShy very well aware that the last time he played Gwen, he was just targeted. So backs himself up, no need for him to walk on top of that, so keeps himself safe. Very nicely done by him.
He has no mana though. He actually won't be a big factor if a skirmish is the kickoff around Rift Herald, which is why you saw him consider the reset, but instead wants to try and clear it this big wave before he goes for it. But here's that slow push we're talking about. So On and Huanfeng going to start marching orders up towards topside, but actually may just be looking at the draft. No, yeah, they will continue up towards the Rift Herald and see if they can try and contest it.
And it looks like it's not going to look to contest at all. I think he just wanted to get the honey fruit so he could continue harassing in that bot side. He could get the mana down there, but the Wukong is top side. Allah might be in a lot of trouble here. You don't have a lot of mana here for TheShy. And you can see that it's very difficult for them to make things work here. As Allah then gets flashed on, the Cyclone is good. They're going to use the last of the mana from TheShy to get the needle work, and very, very well done here by Weibo. Once bitten, twice shy. They're getting TheShy on the board.
And the SofM has been doing such a good job across game 3 and 4 of making sure he's matching Tarzan. Tarzan can't have the same impact. We highlighted Tarzan at the start of the day, saying the difference maker for this squad was the jungler. But with SofM now keeping TheShy safe, finding these ganks topside, matching Tarzan where he goes, suddenly LNG aren't running away with these games as much as they were. And Weibo, that slow increase from the lanes, is starting to play through every lane with a CS advantage and the gold lead in their favor.
Dagda, we can start to feel the momentum turning back in favor of Weibo. We're starting to feel like this is our sixth team from the regular split. This is the team that should be coming in on top of LNG, looking far more comfortable. And it's exactly like we saw in the interview. It is about keeping your mentality for those 5 games. You win 2 of them, great. Well done to you, LNG. You need to win a 3rd, and if you can't, then there's no point.
And for Weibo, it's not only just overcoming the fact that you're down in this series, it's overcoming the fact that you just recently lost a series to LNG in a 2-0 fashion as well. So for Weibo, it feels like it's definitely a massive hill they have to climb, but they're slowly but steadily getting their feet in front of each other. And now if they're moving over towards this dragon as well, getting some of these early objectives could really stand them, especially in a Vertical Dragon, like 6% extra damage, or at least ability power and attack damage is going to be really nice.
It's going to be very, very nice to kind of have, especially as a singular Drake. It just feels very, very nice to get. It hasn't been started up just yet, as we do have more pressure coming out from the spot side of LNG as they try and just kind of push this wave in. SofM trying to see if he can juke people out there with the decoy, but not quite able to be done just yet. Allah going to just push TheShy back into the wall. It's the power of the Mega Gnar. You just get him in, you jump back out, you get yourself a plate. You're not doing too badly. There's only a 300 gold lead here for Weibo as they try to make this one work. You get over the wall here, but the culling's still fantastic from Huanfeng. Brings light all the way down, which means they can't contest for this dragon.
I think a bit of miscommunication though. SofM maybe could have got in with the Sheen proc, and that damage from Huanfeng might have been able to finish him off, or at least force a barrier. But Tarzan will find Angel.
He will find Angel, but he's actually putting himself away because he knows the rest of Weibo are coming up from the Dragon Pit. So just going to say, very sorry, sir. Tips the hat, and off he goes. But now, Allah recognizes that he might be in a 1v1 here on the top side. And you can see now, the ult doesn't quite hit anybody. You can see Light trying to get stacked up here. They're going to go for his flip, and it's LNG who secure it. Now SofM has himself over the wall. There's going to be the Azir Emperor's Divide as a perfect execution puts himself back into a decent position. SofM running as far as he possibly can, but the W lands, which means that he's slowed down. He's taken out, and LNG, over one play over the Dragon, have flipped this game back in their favor.
Yeah, you might have gotten Light low, but you didn't take Light down, and that's a Yuumi that's attached. The Zoomies healing up Light so well, and now Huanfeng might be in trouble. The final chapter is still there if Lumel wants to toss it out, but looks like they will just back and make sure they can get the damage from this Rift Herald.
And that's the big thing as well. Not only do you steal away the Dragon, but you also took the Rift Herald earlier. This is going to, here's something we're going to use later in the day. You know, it's a special tool for us to kind of make a most out of our plays. So Huanfeng with very little mana can't really sit here underneath the tower, and 2 plates, yes, only going over, but that's a kill, that's 2 plates, that's Dragon, and all of a sudden you can see LNG starting to pick up the gold lead.
Yes, the bot lane now kind of being in a better spot. The CS has been evened up, the damage on the tower and the plate's going to help out Light. Just see here, just about able to smite that away is Tarzan, then will not be able to stop SofM from getting out of the pit, but everyone else on Weibo has to run for the hills. They're so separated as Angel had tried to go back towards mid lane, and then SofM has no friends, no place to go, and Tarzan will finish him off.
Sorry, he's a moo with the lack of friends he has. Just not really anything going. I love how you said it there as well. Everyone was scattered. It felt like the play was either just very lackadaisical or just not quite the same one as everyone was thinking, because it felt like, as you said, Angel was moving back to mid, bot lane was moving back up towards blue buff. Everyone except SofM was committed to the dragon, so it felt like they kind of almost expected to get the dragon and then walk out scot-free. Didn't really work out for the side of Weibo, but LNG capitalized beautifully. And yes, it's only a 200 gold lead, not exactly, well, a couple of hundred, not exactly super relevant at the moment, but that dragon just stopped the stacking, means that Weibo need to have a little bit more in mind when they're looking for those objective fights.
I think if they'd gotten the kill onto Zeri, that would have been a lot easier, but the fact they didn't, you get the heal up from Light, and then he's able to come back in. Ala, though.
Ala looking for something here, as he does have flash available to him. He already used the Mega Gnar ultimate, so SofM recognizing it's not really worth it for him to go for that one there. Huanfeng puts down a culling, but this time around, not really getting the same kind of purchase on it. Going to force his cleanse out of him because the ult came out from Light. So you're losing summoners across the board on this bot side, and you can see why the Zeri and Yuumi is so powerful. It's so hard to keep this damage to stick.
Yeah, and Light can just continue to poke here. Zap won't be, or the Ultra Shock Laser won't be able to hit, but you're still getting these Qs, the Prowling projectiles coming out from Lumao that can do damage as well. You're getting push in mid lane for Angel. Weibo still very much struggling in this bot side, but at least Angel will maybe be able to lean down bot side to try and help out, because at the moment Light and Lumao pretty far overextended, and SofM's here.
SofM is here, but he has been spotted, so Light should be able to keep his dash over the wall to himself. Now Angel trying to see if he can run away, but ooh, the Shuriken flip does not land, which means that Angel is able to kind of turn this one around, but he puts himself between a rock and a hard place. The subjugate should be good enough, and in a 2v1, Angel still comes out with a counter kill.
Well played by Angel to get it, but a little bit unfortunate for Doinb. He ends up flashing into the small gap between the wall and can't go anywhere, so nice pickup by Angel to get one back as he was still pushing into that in that mid lane.
Well, we're going to see the bot lane of Weibo trying to be more aggressive with this Lucian-Nami combination. Not a huge amount of mana here on Light, but skirmishes across the board right now, Dagda. You can see it's kind of almost personal between these two teams all of a sudden. Doinb having a little bit of 2v1. Ala now trying to see if he can take out SofM, who's going to have to be first to burn the Cyclone. He don't quite get the flash over. Ala thought about maybe making a play there with the ultimate, but wasn't able to connect.
Yeah, he got hit by the Cyclone as he flashed in, so wasn't able to actually get the ultimate out as the Gnar. So mistimed there by Ala, and SofM will just about manage to escape. We'll get this replay now of this mid lane play. So Doinb very, very low. Does a good job to get over the wall here. Well, get onto Angel and then get sent over the wall. But you can see there, he just gets himself trapped. Gets caught in between the two, which means he can't really move away. You get the shield coming through from Angel at the last second as well off his E to allow him to get one more auto attack in, but will fall himself.
Yeah, well, while that was all happening, bot lane does go down as Light with the Immortal Shield Bow now just able to kind of brute force in this bot lane. I will say you're at a very powerful spike here for the Lucian Nami. You've got the Gale Force and the Imperial Mandate, so if they can find skirmishes around Dragon potentially in 30 seconds, it should be a bit more of a bigger kind of setup here for Weibo. As we can see in the picture-in-picture, they just look for the full engage because they know they can bully it out.
Yeah. But we'll have to see, as you say. I mean, Huanfeng should be able to get that reset in. He's just managed to get back to base. Now, LNG, while Huanfeng's off the map, going to take this Rift Herald. And now you're caught in a weird spot here as Weibo, because if you try and commit them for the Dragon, well, suddenly you lose your mid lane tower to a Rift Herald. And this has kind of been the story here for Weibo, is like, yes, they're getting some sort of control in this early stages, but this lack of objective control is making it harder for them to keep pushing this game forward.
You would have loved if this was your second Dragon here as Weibo. It would have been absolutely fantastic, but you know, nice little pace there for the Soul. But now with Tarzan taking that Rift Herald, he's going to say, cool, we're going to keep funneling money into Light and keep him going. The Zeri still very relevant. Doinb with the Shroud keeps himself alive. As you can see, Huanfeng and on trying to make that big power spike work for them.
And this is something we see a lot from LNG. Like, they're not willing to play heavily around this bot side traditionally. Like, you look at the kill participation of 15 for Light, and it's less than 48%. Like, not a huge amount. He's 9th in the league, but his kill participation in total goes up to 73%, 4th in the league. All of that kill participation is between the 15 to 30 minute mark. Like, this is where he will start to come alive, and you can see immediately they're putting presence there.
So close there. Literally just gets past him on the last soldier of the Emperor's Divide as Angel tries to make a play, was hoping to get SofM on top of Ala and maybe just get the Cyclone going from there, but was not to be. And LNG keep themselves in the ascendancy. So let's have a bit of a take of stock as we look at towards the 18-minute mark. It's a 2,000 gold lead, just under it for LNG. Angel, yeah, I was going to say, he's going to have to back himself away right now because he has not got control or support in this bot side. And with the rest of the waves being pushed in by LNG, Weibo, ooh, good little catch here onto Doinb. Going to put him down to half health, but no real objectives from this bot side, so I don't expect Weibo to really hard force this.
No, it's going to be a bit of a tough one to try and brute force. So, LNG now, we're looking to see what they can try and do as Doinb hops forward. I think the big issue for them here is, like, you need to get push on top, push on bot, and then try and collapse on mid lane where you've got a numbers advantage, or make a pick in the enemy jungle. It just becomes incredibly hard to try and brute force your way into mid-turn with how short range your composition is.
Yeah, he needs to start backing up. TheShy doesn't have a huge amount of mana, and there was a hell of a lot of members of LNG working up towards that top side. But like you said, trying to see you use the numbers you have to try and maybe mitigate some of the pressure points of LNG, but for Weibo, but for LNG, it's all about pushing forward, looking to try and maybe catch people out. You have a Trundle, he can disrupt, he can move into positions that you maybe don't expect him to be. He can, again, create terrain that you have to then traverse. It's very, very difficult to actually work around this guy, and it's why Tarzan puts a high priority on him. I was like, cool, can't get Poppy, I'll take the Trundle, because it does very similar things in that early game.
Yeah, I mean, create terrain is nice. I need them to create pockets of vision. That's what I want here for LNG, like getting this vision control in the jungle, so you can actually look to as to where exactly Weibo are positioning members, when you can try and make plays happen, and how you can try and make those happen. Like, okay, if they end up overforcing a ton of people mid, right, we'll look for a tier 2 on side lanes. We'll look to try and maneuver around where Weibo are located, which is why they're trying to push in towards the jungle, but they're just not getting this opportunity with where Weibo are right now.
I will say, it's probably been the most tempered of the games so far. We're looking at only 5 kills, no massive triple quadra kills for any of the mid laners as of yet. And, you know, 20 minutes into the game, the scaling Azir has got 2 items. You're going towards your second item now on top of Gwen. And yes, the Huanfeng Lucian hasn't had the most explosive of bot lanes, but it's still a Lucian. Lucian getting his, you know, kind of in range of a Zeri with a piercing light and 3 or 4 items will still do extreme damage. Same can be said on the other side. You're relying on the engage, I feel like, coming out from Ala to really set up this LNG mid lane and bot lane duo to make sure that they can put down the damage. So both teams happy to let this scaling go, and with both having a dragon apiece, no one really close to any kind of soul anytime soon.
Yeah, I think a large portion of this has just been how tense it has been between the 2 junglers. Like, in Game 1 and Game 2, we saw Tarzan run away with it. Game 3 and now Game 4, SofM has been doing a much better job of keeping Tarzan in check. And it has led to this bit of a stalemate. But again, this is kind of where Weibo have leaned in towards. Like, they're not a team that has been very high when it comes towards kills. Something that we didn't really get to talk about. Like, the kills that they have at the 15-minute mark is only 3. They're like 15th in the league. But when you actually, 13th in the league. When you actually see them shoot up then into the later portion of the game, they suddenly end up at 8th in the league for the amount of kills per game. A huge amount of that comes from consistent team fighting, round objectives, and specifically looking at that Baron to finish out games for them as well. Like, they have the 7th highest Baron rate in the league, and they rely heavily on that to help them finish out these games.
Well, we wait. Baron is on the map. There's a past 20-minute mark, so Baron has joined us in this fight as TheShy. Yeah, sadly for him, he's not really going to have that bot lane pressure or even the side lane pressure against Ala, because Ala in that mini-Gnar form just at the moment is just stronger. The Triforce gives you such a great spike right now. It's very difficult to deal with. Tarzan needs to be very careful, has to pop the subjugate, and that's just before Dragon.
Yeah, good Ultra Shock Laser as well to slow the assault there. Doinb now going to be on the receiving end, a bit of damage off the love taps from Huanfeng, but I mean, they still own River here as LNG. They've still got decent poke from Light, healing coming through from Lumel. I think you're still struggling here a little bit as Weibo. You don't want to just run into Tarzan.
No, you don't want to run into Tarzan. There's 2 great flank wards here for Ala, but he doesn't even need the wards if he doesn't want it. So might just be looking to try and make his way around the side of the blue buff. Hasn't been spotted just yet. Now will be spotted by TheShy. TheShy now needs to back away. Dragon is live, and you feel like that's just going to have to be forfeited now by the side of Weibo to LNG. That being said, though, they've got priority in this mid lane, so not really giving it up just yet.
And Ala got baited a little bit there by TheShy. TheShy getting the mini-Gnar into the mega-Gnar meant that you just don't have this big ultimate now available for Ala, which is why Weibo, they send Shy back, he's going to TP in, and then Weibo now get control of a river. So actually a nice call from TheShy there. It looked a bit funky, but actually a really good call to get the Mega Gnar form out of Ala.
Yeah, Ala goes back, he TP's back into the lane, he's going to have a wit's end, but a Void Staff was finished up for TheShy, and we're just having this dance right now, a little bit of a waltz, step 1, step 2, going towards this Dragon's Den, and this is where Weibo need to really kind of put their foot down. If they can keep delaying this, they can keep getting items.
And this is where TheShy can be very threatening with this Void Staff completed. Having access to this back line with the shots coming through from the needlework could be devastating because they bypass that front line. But looks like LNG get enough control over the lanes that they can get the second dragon, and it will be Angel just moving back up to top side to try and push in onto this tier 1.
I will say, you are 10 more minutes away, so the minimum at the earliest, 33.5 minutes is when we're going to have that Dragon Soul. So yes, nobody dies, but Weibo, they're just delaying, they're giving themselves time.
But over the 3 games we've had so far, only once has Dragons really been relevant to it, and that was in this last game where Weibo were able to find the victory by forcing Elder Dragon, by forcing Baron, and I think it's going to be a case of, well, might be decided before we get to that point. Doinb will be spotted by SofM off the sweeper.
Oh, I see Angel going in, does have the Crown of the Shattered Queen, so feeling confident to go in on top of that one there. On the bot side, you do see that the 1v1 is actually happening as TheShy now jumping in. Ala's going to have to go into Mega as he keeps himself alive, but no flash now onto Ala. Ghost was burned by TheShy, and it's a bit of a strange trade-off here as Weibo just going to keep all 4 members of LNG here while Ala's actually slowly losing the 1v1.
Yeah, TheShy couldn't quite get that final needlework to connect, so couldn't get the kill, but there's the engage onto Light.
Jumping onto Light, who flashes away. He didn't have the Yuumi, but now the final chapter comes out. It's going to force a flash out of SofM. Angel has the flash away as well. He's getting jumped on the tidal wave, trying to use the disengage. Doinb has arrived. SofM, though, keeps himself alive on the side of this one here. Doinb only had eyes for 1 man. Never mind, he had him for 2. He got greedy and ate all of his cake as well. So Weibo lose 2 out of nowhere, and the TP from TheShy. That's Baron.
Doinb's the fellow with the roving eye in this one, catching both members of Weibo and now eyeing up that Baron. He's a greedy old lad, but he's going to be happy as Larry with what has just occurred.
You don't have a needlework here for TheShy, and you don't have a jungler either, so Doinb's going to be able to play keep away right now. There's nowhere you can really kind of go into this, and yeah, Weibo, you have to give this up.
I mean, great job from LNG to turn around the over-aggression from Weibo. Weibo tried to make that pick happen onto Light, but they're just not really coordinated enough to follow up. You can see they're like, okay, SofM gets the knock up on towards Light, but too many creeps in the way. Huanfeng not in a position to try and follow up. Angel tries to get onto Light, but ends up running into Tarzan. And look at the sidestep as well. Tarzan gets just away from the Emperor's Divide, which means he's still threatening enough to follow up onto Angel with Doinb. And then from here, follow up from the perfect execution. Great Ultra Shock Laser. And just the auto attack to snipe down SofM.
Again, great target priority from Doinb there as well. He recognized, look, the SofM's, he's done it. He's used all of his ultimate, his flash, everything's down. He's not really a threat. The Azir, however, is. The Azir had teleport, could go back, reset onto the fight, knew who he needed to take out there, and great work here from LNG as they start to take control of this game. 5,000 gold lead.
And this is exactly what we were just saying. It doesn't feel like dragons are the things deciding these games. Even objective fights are things deciding these games. If these brawls that are happening off of these objective timers, and LNG, at least now, have found a good advancement through that last fight. Ala now putting pressure onto the bot side here. Won't be able to get the demolish proc that he was hoping for, but LNG, they've got push in mid as well with this Baron, so pressure across the map.
Huanfeng does get the final chapter and the ultimate out of Zeri, so oh my lord! It's so much damage, Dagda. How is that allowed?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're even going towards the wit's end here. You're not going towards full crit build here for Light, so definitely feeling himself when it comes towards the damage he can churn out with this Ultra Shock Laser. Now, LNG just playing Protect the Cannon, making sure that nobody from Weibo can finish this off as the next wave comes through.
And that's going to be 2 tier 2s going down. It's a successful Baron push. You do have another minute or so on it, but you really do want to reset, get yourself back onto the map, be ready for this Dragon in a minute 20's time. And LNG, they are looking comfortable again. It's going to come down to a moment of brilliance. It's going to come down to Weibo having a shy moment, having a moment from Angel like in the last game. Where we talked about, yes, Angel was exceptional, probably the best we've seen him all split in that last game. But he's got to keep it going. He's got to try and push it forward. It needs more help.
And you have to try and beat this Weibo, or sorry, this LNG roster that honestly just seems to have this buff when it comes to playoffs, have this buff, or at least when it comes towards Worlds, I should say, where they're always trying to make sure that they can get themselves towards that. We saw it in 2021, now here in 2022, suddenly coming out swinging, a win over BLG, a potential win over Weibo as well, would knock Weibo out of that Worlds contention, stop TheShy from hitting Worlds. Stop Weibo from trying to match that run they had in 2020 where they went all the way to the World Finals.
On just loses half his health off of that W. That's so upsetting. I'm sorry. It gets into me. It gets into my mind. Well, we'll say Weibo, they're probably going to be happy to let this dragon go because they don't really have any kind of control over their any side of their jungle really around this dragon pit. So they're going to have to just let that one go. Let that one just go. Bring the side of LNG to a soul point and then look to try and get onto a third item onto your Azir, a third item onto TheShy's Gwen. And that's when you're really going to try and look for a fight because, again, you do have significant damage, but whether or not you can make it stick is the big question.
Tarzan just going to be able to solo this one out. The rest of LNG just making sure Weibo can't try and push forward. The poke from the Ultra Shock laser and also with Doinb threatened on a side lane means you just can't do anything. Like nope. Doinb going to come across here just to help Tarzan. So third dragon will go across. And it's not, as we say, like it gets particularly easy for Weibo. Yes, TheShy in the late game will get very, very strong. Same when you look at Angel going for this attack damage build, or attack speed, sorry, build on the Azir. But I mean, Doinb going to be great. Ala's still going to be wonderful. Light and Lumel are going to be so threatening in this late game, especially if SofM isn't able to close that distance onto them.
And you look at the items that Lumel has picked up as well. He's got the Ardent Sensor, so he goes onto anybody. He's going to be just a steroid buff for anybody. You put extra attack speed onto Gnar, even Akali as such. You just are able to be buffing up the entire team, and it really is going to help you out so much. Yeah,
I think the only thing that LNG are really missing now is that IE on towards Light. Because he stopped off for the Wit's End, wanting that extra magic resist against the two AP solo laners.
Oh no, Huanfeng. He's thinking about maybe getting caught out here. He does have a cleanse, but he hasn't used it just yet. They haven't got the Pillar of Ice just yet. It actually lands on top of On, and now they jump onto Tarzan. The dash forward, a little bit of a mixed call there from the Weibo jungler and AD carry. They thought they were going in for it, but they don't pull the trigger fully.
Yeah, we've seen it kind of been a bit messy when it comes towards communication here from Weibo, but LNG not quite able to find what they're looking for. Ultra Shock Laser, though, doing a lot of work here.
Doing a hell of a lot. SofM does decoy over the wall as Azir is just kind of covering him on that top side. I think Angel should have his third item now as he runs back to the fountain. Baron up in a minute. Next dragon up for 3 minutes 40. Remember, that will be soul for the side of LNG as they keep the pressure on.
And from this point, how do you try and commit towards these objectives as Weibo? Now all outer turrets are down. LNG are continuously pushing in these waves, demanding the vision and commanding the vision in your jungle, making sure that you actually can't contest anything outside of the walls of your base. So for LNG, you can see they just sit here, wait and see who face checks, and pick them off.
And it looks like it might be On. On, you are not very tanky, but thankfully for him, a little Scryer's Bloom does mean that he knows exactly where everyone is. Huanfeng takes the W to the face from the Zeri, and the rest of Weibo now start to move themselves back into control of their own jungle. But it's hard. It's very difficult right now because, like you mentioned, 3 items onto your Akali, 4 items onto your Gnar. I will say 16 seconds until that Baron spawns. This is going to be the moment here for Weibo. I feel like they're finally at a moment where they can fight, but can they fight?
Yeah, that's why Doinb's off on this bot side, trying to create pressure on this other side of the map. TheShy has to respond to. TheShy, though, getting to a point where he's pretty terrifying. Morellonomicon now completed as well. That's going to help out a lot against Lumel and Light. Now, again, Grievous Wounds nerfed significantly over the last couple of patches, but still, every little helps against how much healing is on LNG's side.
Tarzan going to take a little bit of poke here from SofM. Light is there, though, as Ala. Let me look to try and transform, but he hasn't done it just yet, and he gets bubbled. Ala, with a massive mistake, actually costs him his life and maybe the fight. Tarzan has to use the subjugate, but that's just so much damage from Doinb. He will go into stasis. They're trying to keep TheShy away. He flashes in as On's underneath the tower. It's a double kill here for Doinb. It's going to be TheShy going down, and despite Ala going over, it is going to be an equal trade of sorts right now. Weibo need to stay alive. They're trying to get the auto attacks in, and that's Tarzan with enough damage on the subjugate to take him out. It ends up being a 4-for-2 trade, and it looks like LNG are getting themselves a second Baron.
If you don't get Light, you can't take the fight. LNG don't get the Zeri, and she's able to run amok afterwards. TheShy tried desperately to finish off Light, but wasn't quite able to do it, and now LNG will get the Baron. We'll see it in this fight here. Great bubble from On, stops Ala's engage. Huanfeng actually like the fact he went in heavily here because he knows Ala isn't really in position. We'll say Huanfeng, that was not the ultimate that you wanted at all. And here though, Light, look at his ability to kite back, right? Trying to poke from afar, making sure that he's able to stay safe from TheShy. Doinb as well on the backside, buying so much time so Light can deal with the isolated Gwen, and then Doinb tearing people apart on this backside, buying so much time until the rest of LNG can show up.
Yeah, the Angel just kind of puts himself in harm's way. Really thought he had a little bit more time to put up soldiers, maybe kind of defend himself in his tower, but it was not to be. Now you have Baron on the side of LNG. You have a Dragon Soul in 50 seconds, and not any soul, it's an Ocean Soul. You're thinking it was hard to kill off these carries before? Add in extra healing in every third or fourth auto attack. That is going to become impossible.
Tarzan immediately jumping on
They're trying to kill Ala. They need to do this. They need to force this. They need a hard go for this one right now. But Ala, he's just too far away. Angel did survive on the back end of this, but now you're caught between a rock and a hard place. That rock is Doinb. That hard place might be the gray screen as we can come in straight away. Doinb, though, has been deleted. They trade it back for the Lucian. It's the Lucian Nami for the Akali. And look at Light. Like you said, if you don't take out Light, you cannot fight. TheShy is now put himself in harm's way to make sure he can make a little bit of an impact. He's still staying alive, but only for so long. And Light is carrying these fights.
LNG will look towards the base. The Dragon is there in 3 seconds, but they know with the death timers they have, Weibo are done for. LNG keep their steady miracle run alive, and they will lock themselves at least the gauntlet for regional playoffs.
Weibo, it's all on Angel. We talked about it in game number 3. Can he do anything? I just don't think he can. The Pillar of Ice is down. Angel shall be joining his namesake up in heaven. The gray screen is all he has. LNG continue their miracle run, and they've got a date with V5.
Doinb's excitement says it all on your screens. Happy as can be. LNG look like a different team coming into playoffs, beating Weibo, locking their game against V5. Tarzan has taken down one half of the solo laners that beat him in the quarterfinal in 2019's Worlds, and now he'll have a date with the next one.
And what a series from LNG. Just so good from them, pretty much consistently throughout the entirety of today. Games 1 and 2, exceptional. Game 3, we did see a little bit of a bounce back coming in here from Weibo, but it was hard fought. It wasn't easy. And in Game 4, LNG kept their cool. There was definitely opportunities for Weibo to capitalize on, but they just overwhelmed them.
Yeah, I think it's just the miscoordination between the members of Weibo on a lot of these fights that really caused them to run astray. You look at like when SofM was trying to go in, Huanfeng not quite being in position to follow up, not quite getting Angel into position to be able to get in on the Azir. Like, it just looked very, very messy, and LNG capitalized well. Again, I think their team fighting has really taken a step up. Their early game certainly looks a hell of a lot better, and here Doinb on this Akali looking spectacular again in these fights.
I mean, this is the thing we always talked about for Doinb for years now. From the time we basically was on Rogue Warriors in 2017, this is a guy that you just cannot write off. You cannot just turn around and say, oh, it's whatever, he's having a bad split, because he can turn it on. He can find picks that you just can't deal with. So do you throw bans at the Akali? It's not exactly ideal. So like you're kind of putting people into a really bad situation, and it's the power of what he does as a person.
But it's also, it feels like he's had a pocket pick for each of these series. It feels like everything has been a well-laid plan from LNG. We saw the Nocturne coming out against BLG, where they're like, hey, look, what we need to do to beat BLG is to play through this early game. Make sure that we're able to control the map at this early point. And then we come up here and we're like, hey, look, we know Weibo aren't going to be very proactive in the early game, so let's take something that can scale well and then be a threat in team fights, making sure they have that access to the backline. So just a really good understanding from LNG of how to face each of these opponents, and a lot of that is coming through Doinb's champion.
And I mean, it just feels like they just, as you mentioned, they just did their homework. They knew how to attack, because it was these are two incredibly different styles that we've seen from LNG in Series 1 against BLG, and now in this series against Weibo, where, like, as you mentioned, the Nocturne, it was all about attacking the jungle, making sure you're getting those skirmishes. This time around, it's like, cool, we focus topside. Let's get everything into Ala. Let's make sure that TheShy is not having a good time. And even mid-series, we saw them kind of change their development, change their style a little bit, and kind of go, cool, it's no longer about Ala. We're not going to shove everything in this game. We're going to put it down into Light, because we figured out that Light is actually someone who can also carry.
Yeah, Light has been traditionally the carry for LNG. I mean, 29% of the team's damage. You can see him coming up clutch here again, trying to make sure that he could step up to be that carry once more. And on things like this Zeri, you can definitely do so, having the Yuumi in his back pocket to make sure that he's going to stay safe. Doinb as well, though, not to be understated, like, his damage may not be as high, but where that damage was located was far more important.
Yeah, it really was. We can see a little bit of the behind the scenes there. I'm not quite sure if that went out on live, but hopefully it was just to us. But nothing incriminating. It's just always funny when those little things pop up. But yeah, it does feel like it was just LNG stepping up. I will be honest, massive disappointment for Weibo. I think the team that, honestly, for a while broke V5 after taking down their first loss against them was the team that we were very excited to see. Maybe even having TheShy versus Rookie again in the next round would have been exceptional. I'll be real, they didn't step up. I think Angel looked good in a game, and after that didn't really have that kind of same performance, and I can't really blame them. If you're going to have to play at that level consistently, you're probably going to be considered like Faker levels of good. That's how good you'd have to be at all times. So really not the result they wanted, and honestly, it just felt like it just didn't come together. It felt like SofM was a little bit muted.
It felt like, especially in this game, where you're looking at like the composition that they've taken. Like Gwen wants to try and scale up for lane. Angel wants to try and scale up for lane. Huanfeng and On want to try and beat you in lane with this. It felt very much like they were again leaning in towards what is classic Weibo versus what they need to do to respond